A baffling photograph from the 1900s depicting 4 men posing with a dinosaur took the world by storm. When experts zoomed in on the picture 100 years later, they were left speechless by the extraordinary details that challenged everything they thought they knew. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Dr. Harper Bogue's coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she couldn't tear herself away from the computer screen. 4 men, clad in typical 20th century suits, bow ties, and suspenders, stood casually around what appeared to be the massive head of a dinosaur, its razor-sharp teeth gleaming in the sunlight of what looked like a summer day in 1914. "This can't be real," she whispered for the 100th time that evening, adjusting her glasses as she leaned closer to the monitor. The family of a deceased collector donated the photograph, among other valuables, to the museum's archives just last week. Ordinarily, it would have gone through a series of cataloging before ultimately being dismissed as an obvious hoax or movie prop. But Harper, with her 15 years of experience in studying fossilized remains, had seen something entirely different in that strange photograph. The creature's bone structure, its sturdy scales, the organic positioning of its jaw, it all looked disturbingly authentic, as if it were too good to be some movie prop. The dinosaur's head dominated the center of the frame, approximately 6 to 7 feet in height and 4 feet wide. Its razor-sharp teeth were prominently displayed, and its eyes seemed to gleam with a fierce intensity. Yet the men surrounding it didn't flinch. Instead, they stood with an air of confidence, even affection. They simply looked like young gentlemen posing for a routine portrait. No fear, no tension, no indication that they were standing next to a creature that should have been extinct for 65 million years. Harper sought out Dr. Brody Webb, her colleague in the paleontology department. He arrived in record time, dark eyes bearing a confused expression as they landed on the image glaring from Harper's computer screen. "A dinosaur, Brody?" "Harper," she said, rising from her seat, "we're looking at a photograph of a real dinosaur from 1914. "Are you sure?" Brody wasn't convinced, not with the way technology was starting to make the world crazy. But editing in 2014 could never nail CGI this neatly. Harper quickly ran her quick fingers around the screen, addressing the physical properties of the creature that were akin to normal fossilized data. This is real." "My God," Brody breathed, settling into her chair. "Where did you get this?" Harper confirmed that she hadn't been able to match the dinosaur's features to any known species so far, but this didn't mean that it couldn't be real. In 1914? Where? How? And why is there no other record of this discovery? Harper had been asking herself the same questions all evening. "I've been thinking about that. What if it wasn't a discovery at all? What if it was a cover-up?" Harper opened another window on her computer, revealing a document she'd been researching. "I found something interesting. There was a private expedition to the Amazon in 1912, funded by a wealthy industrialist named Theodore Javernick. The official records say they were searching for new species of birds and insects, but I found some correspondence that suggests otherwise." A thought crossed Webb's mind. Jake Industries, I recognize that name. Didn't they have government contracts during World War I? Exactly, military contracts. And look at this. Harper pulled up another document. "I was able to match the faces of 3 of the men in the photograph. Dr. Gail Alaband, a biologist, Chris Tuffin, a big game hunter, and this man here," she pointed to a distinguished gentleman in a white shirt, "is General Homer Ashworth, head of the Army's Experimental Weapons Division." Weapons Division? What would a weapons specialist want with a dinosaur? Harper's stomach churned. "Think about it, Brody! 1914 wars on the horizon. Everyone's looking for military advantages. What if they found or created something in the Amazon that they thought could be weaponized?" Webb shook his head. "You're talking about using dinosaurs as weapons? That's science fiction, Harper." Harper recalled that all sides underwent biological warfare during the war. If that was the case, was it possible that they had captured or created this creature and studied it? But if that was the case, then where was the dinosaur now? Where were the records? And where are other photographs of it? Webb stood up and began pacing, his mind racing. Harper had been pondering the same question. The Amazon rainforest is one of the most unexplored regions on Earth, even today. In 1,912 vast areas were completely unmapped. What if there was an isolated ecosystem, cut off from the rest of the world? What if some dinosaurs survived the extinction event in small pockets and continued to evolve? That's theoretically possible, I suppose, but highly unlikely. Unlikely, but not impossible. We've discovered species we thought were extinct before, the coelacanth, for instance, and new species are found in the Amazon every year. Webb stopped pacing and stared at the photograph again. If you're right, this changes everything we know about paleontology, about evolution, about the extinction event itself. And he was right. They had not realized it yet, but this little discovery was about to shake science and history communities worldwide. The next morning, Harper contacted Dr. Lisa Park, a digital forensics expert who specialized in historical photograph analysis. Dr. Park agreed to examine the image using the latest enhancement technology, but warned that the process would take several days. While they waited, Harper and Webb delved deeper into the historical records surrounding Theodore Javernick and his expedition. What they found only deepened the mystery. Javernick Industries grew exponentially wealthy during World War I, but Theodore Javernick himself had become increasingly reclusive, rarely appearing in public after 1,915. Most intriguingly, they discovered that Jake's company conducted business repeatedly in a portion of the Amazon basin. Reports showed the purchase and delivery of large wooden crates, iron bars, and goats. Wouldn't all those be starter packs for a zoo? Harper thought in question. True, it's like they were trying to contain something, Webb observed as they reviewed the property records. Their research was interrupted by a call from Dr. Park. They rushed to her laboratory in a heartbeat. There they found the enhanced image displayed on a wall-sized monitor. The level of detail was extraordinary. Every scale on the dinosaur's hide was visible. Every tooth gleamed with photographic clarity. First, the good news, Dr. Park began. This photograph is absolutely genuine. No digital manipulation, no double exposure, no evidence of any kind of hoax. This image was taken with a camera manufactured in 1912 using photographic plates and developing techniques consistent with that era. Harper felt her heart racing. And the bad news? There is no bad news, exactly, but there are anomalies. Look at this. Dr. Park zoomed in on the dinosaur's nose. Do you see that? Harper and Webb peered closely at the screen. All they could see were the jagged patterns of its scales, but nothing else. Look closer, right above the upper jaw. Dr. Park pressed. Harper squinted, then gasped. There's something wedged in the middle. It looks like metal. Exactly. It appears to be some kind of metallic implant or device, but that's not all. Dr. Park manipulated the image, enhancing different sections. Look at the base of the skull, just behind the jaw. A series of small, regularly spaced holes became visible, each about the size of a pencil eraser. They formed a precise pattern that was clearly artificial. The scientists were left speechless for a few minutes. "Those are surgical scars," Webb eventually said. "Someone operated on this creature." "But why?" Harper asked. "What were they trying to do?" "I don't know," Dr. Park replied. "What I do know is that this is no conventional dinosaur. If it's real, it's a whole new species, and there's no record of it anywhere else." This new discovery would put them on the road to another twist, and this time it would lead them to the doorstep of 58-year-old Perry Java, great-grandson of Theodore Javernick, who had answers to their deep questions. Javernick Industries had rebranded some decades ago, and all documents containing its operations were said to have perished in a fire in 2002. Harper and Brody had gone with the intention of gaining any form of information from Jake's last surviving relative. However, their hopes were dashed in the wind with Perry's opening words. "I'm sorry, but I can't be of help. Records from the 1900s are completely gone." "But do you think you can shed more light on what this picture might mean?" Harper asked, presenting the old photograph. "What did your great-grandfather do in the Amazon forest?" Perry hesitated, then offered them tea before sharing what he knew. "This is something I learned directly from my grandfather," he said. "It all started in 1912. He explained that Theodore Javernick's expedition had discovered a remote tribe in the Amazon that spoke of thunder lizards, massive creatures believed to have survived for millions of years. They eventually found a hidden valley inhabited by strange, dinosaur-like animals, small, kangaroo-sized creatures closely related to dinosaurs. Harper and Webb realized the creature in the old photograph wasn't a dinosaur, but a newly discovered species, long forgotten by science. According to Perry, the animals were docile unless provoked and even displayed intelligent behavior. Javernick's team had hoped to study them, but military interests soon took over. A general arrived and proposed training the animals for warfare. Harper listened in disbelief as Perry continued. The general initiated a breeding program and subjected the creatures to chemical enhancements. Many died. One, however, began to adapt, growing larger, stronger. It was the same one in the photo. Perry disappeared into the basement and returned with an old album. Inside was a second photograph, featuring the same men but now with a smaller version of the creature, suggesting the presence of at least two. "This one looks like it was rescued from a fire," Webb noted. "It was," Perry replied. 3 days before the fire, this was sent to my great-grandmother. The note said, "Project terminated. Coming home. Burn everything." He explained that one researcher, Dr. Alaband, had formed a bond with the adult female creature, but the military wanted to push harder. The creatures soon began recognizing their captors and eventually revolted. In 1915, they escaped, killing 17 men, including the general, and vanishing into the jungle. Some evidence survived, but the program was buried. Perry's grandfather spent his life returning to the rainforest in search of them. Though he never saw the creatures again, he found tracks, nests, and broken trees, signs they had lived on. Harper felt overwhelmed. The implications were profound. If these creatures still existed, they could change science forever or be exploited again. "Dr. Bogue, Dr. Webb," Perry said gravely, "there are still people who might want to weaponize them. General Ashworth's descendants are still influential." Harper nodded, the weight of responsibility settling in. "What do you want us to do?" "Protect them," Perry answered. "If they still exist, they deserve peace. These photographs aren't just evidence, they're a warning." Later that day, Harper and Webb sat in silence at the museum. The story they'd uncovered changed everything. Creatures related to dinosaurs had lived into the modern era, and humans had responded with control and violence. "I believe they still exist hidden somewhere in that vast, unexplored Amazon," Harper commented, gazing into the distance in wonder. "What do we do now?" Webb asked, finally noting their just-concluded research. Harper looked at her computer screen, where the original photograph still glowed. The four men stared back at her, frozen in time with their prehistoric companion. "Nothing," she said finally. "We keep their secret, and if they're still out there, we make sure they stay hidden until the world is truly ready to meet them. As equals, not as weapons or curiosities." She reached for her computer's power button, then hesitated. "But first we document everything. Future generations of scientists deserve to know the truth, even if they're not ready to act on it." As the computer screen went dark, Harper couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere in the vast Amazon rainforest, something was waiting and perhaps hoping that humanity might someday prove worthy of a second chance. What an incredible story! What do you think of the dinosaur found in the Amazon forest? Do you believe there are more prehistoric creatures hiding in plain sight? Leave an answer in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.